Dear faculty and students, this is our final project demonstration for the EEE 416 laboratory. Our project was Biometric Fingerprint Attendance System, or as we call it, True ID. In this presentation, we are going to give you a brief outline about our project. So this is the project in which we implemented biometric fingerprint system, which is a very simple and a cost-effective solution to keep your attendance. For additional feature, it will have temperature monitoring of the students, which is very important in the days of COVID-19. So what is attendance? Attendance is basically a bookkeeping of whether someone is present in this class or not. The idea of attendance first introduced by the General Court of Massachusetts. After that, it spreads worldwide like a wildfire. And in 2020s, it is no surprise that we're trying to make a intelligent fingerprint attendance system. Now take a look at the component we have been used for the project. The first component is USB 8266 module, in which we programmed our code, and it also has Wi-Fi capability to allow us to communicate with the PC wirelessly.
The next components are our fingerprint sensor, which allows us to read and store our fingerprint data. The OLED display, which helps give the user some instructions. The sonar and the temperature sensor, which we used to read user temperature and incorporate into our fingerprint sensing project. So the initial steps were to test the basic system of fingerprint sensing and fingerprint enrolling. After that, we explored the internet and we tried to incorporate that into a more wireless setting, and then we tried to add in the temperature sensor and the sonar so that the user can measure his temperature and then enroll his fingerprint data, which is then transferred to the PC in our database. And we took the help from a third-party software called XAMPP so that our data could be uploaded in a locally hosted website.
As you can see, here is the circuit diagram of our project, which has a Node MCU and an Arduino connected to the various sensors as shown in this picture. In the next slide, we can see the PCB layout, which is just a simple representation of the wirings that were used, and underneath is a 3D view of the board. Here is a photo gallery for the beautiful moments that we had in doing the project. Analysis and evaluation. We tackle some factors involving the project. One is novelty. The basic biometric fingerprint attendance system is available everywhere. So what makes ours special? Well, the first thing is ours connects wirelessly to the teacher's PC using the Wi-Fi module in the Node MCU board. Data can be easily accessed by the teacher and the teacher only, and downloaded to computers in soft form. The website is a novelty because it can represent things in a beautified pattern. You can select date, export to Excel, add different fingerprint IDs and users. Checking your temperature is the new novelty because in the COVID-19 age, the rule of the thumb to understand if one has fever or not is to just check the temperature. If we check the temperature of each student before attendance is given, we can ensure that at least those who have high temperature won't get into the class and infect other people.
Let us look at the cost analysis of our project. The table shows us the basic the components that were used and their prices. And upon calculation, we see that the per unit cost of our project goes just under 4,000 taka. However, if more units are produced, the fixed cost will be lower because it will be spread out, and the per unit cost is supposed to come down. Some practical considerations of the design. The whole framework of this project is run only by 2 volts, which is taken via the USB cable, which makes it power efficient. It takes no external batteries, and therefore that's better for the environment. And second of all, anyone handling this project is much safer, as we do not draw any large currents. So the impact of this project is huge. Especially in classrooms, the students will be much more disciplined, and a teacher-student relationships are often made bad by this attendance factor, and it is a source of mischief from the part of the students. And this is a workaround, and this project will completely take that out of the equation. According to sustainability, the project is deemed to be very environmental friendly, as it is contained, sustainable, and puts very low pressure on the environment. We tried to use recyclable materials where we could. In others, we tried to minimize plastic usage, and we only used plastic in those components which weren't available otherwise. Our team worked together very well. We tried to help each other, and we tried to recognize each other's skills. So sometimes it was the case that 2 of us were trying to understand the codes, the others were trying to do the hardware. ID34 did the PCB, and when ID47 was diagnosed with COVID, the others stayed over and did the external structure of the devices while I tried to do the report. And in this way, the workload was divided, and I can say that all 4 of us had an equal contribution on the project. Thank you. That was all for our project. If there's any questions, we will be very happy to answer. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our project presentation of EEE 416. We are trying to implement a smart attendance system with built-in body temperature measurement systems. We are implementing this by using 2 microcontrollers, an Arduino and a Node MCU. The Node MCU is connected to a fingerprint scanner and an OLED display, with which we are trying to get the fingerprints of students and match them against a database. And then the Node MCU will wirelessly transfer them to a website for matching purposes. Also, we are using an Arduino Uno for connecting and regulating certain sensors. We have a sonar sensor for ranging. We have a temperature sensor which is implemented through IR, and a buzzer. Here we will be demonstrating our project. As we can see, there is a sonar sensor and a temperature sensor close by. Sonar is used for only ranging purposes. Now I'll bring my forehead near the ranging, and then what will happen is that the sonar will try to detect the surface, and once it is in an adequate range, it will measure my temperature, and if it is below a certain threshold, it will let me put in my fingerprint. As you can see that I can log in here. Welcome Ryan. And then if I have to get out of this class afterwards, then I can just bring my forehead again. My temperature reading will be started to be taken, and then I'll just put my fingerprint here. As you can see, I have logged out of class.
Okay, so now we will see how to add users to our fingerprint sensor and onto our database. We do this with a separate code because firstly the entire process makes it much easier to handle, and secondly the teachers will already have their students' IDs saved and registered in the database. So now we go back to the code which we used to add the users, and we upload this into the Node MCU. So we've already done this. Now the Node MCU should be able to take in the users. So what we do is we go to our local website to add users. This is the website to add users. We just enter the required fingerprint ID. We already have 2 users registered, so we will use a different one. We press 3, and then the scan, as you can see, the fingerprint is asking for another fingerprint. We will give a new fingerprint now. The fingerprint has been added. As we can see over here, the fingerprint has been added, and we can name it to anything. Let us call it something arbitrary for now. We give a serial number 111 and some email, and then we can add the user right over here. Now if the user logs in with his fingerprint, this name should come up and allow him to log into the database. So if we go to the user log, we can see that in the previously when Ryan logged in, we can see that his login and logout time was registered successfully in the database. And also when I registered a new ID, the rare ID, I logged in, and then I haven't logged out yet, which is why they show a 00 time. But if I log out now, if I give my fingerprint and log out now, it should, if I refresh this page, it should show that I logged out. As we can see, it does show that I logged out. Exactly 22:38, which is 10:38 right now.